Okay, the first part is about variety and dialects. Dialect is an English variant that is characteristic of a particular area, community, or group on the regional level, and it can signal the speaker's regional or social background. For instance, American English and British English are two varieties. And variety is a variant of English which is considered standard or general English of a country, and variety may reveal the speaker's nationality. For example, New York English and Southern American English are two dialects of American English. And here are three concentric circles of world Englishes that be published by Carter in 1985. The first circle has named the inner circle, which includes nations where English is used as the mother tongue, such as the UK, the USA. The second outer circle, which comprises countries where English is used as a second or official language, such as India or Singapore. And the last circle is the expanding circle, which consists of countries where English is used as a foreign language, such as Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. According to Roth, differences between accents have two main types, phonetic and phonological. When there are phonetic differences between two accents, the same set of phonemes are found in both accents. The sum or all of the phonemes are realized differently. Let's take for example, Australian English has the same set of phonemes and phonemic construct as BBC pronunciation. Nonetheless, Australian pronunciation is so different from that accent that it is easily recognized. There may also be differences in stress or intonation, but they do not cause a change in meaning. For instance, in American English, the word garage receives stress on the second syllable, while stress falls on the first syllable of garage in British English. Received pronunciation, hereafter refers to as RP, is the instantly recognizable British accent. Popular labels for the dialect include the Queen's English, Oxford English, and BBC English. Because all RP speakers speak standard English, RP is an accent, not a grammatical construction and localized vocabulary that are common in regional dialects. RP is also non-regionally specific and does not contain any information about a speaker's geographic background. Nowadays, RP accent is often taught to students who are learning English, especially for those learning English as a second or foreign language. This is also the accent used in most other British textbooks.
Let's go to the first part of 8.2, the RP vowel system. And there are 25 vowels as followed. While older speakers tend to use conservative pronunciation, younger speakers tend to use advanced instead. And these the differences are presented as follows. Firstly, as in a number of other accents, the distinction between "r" and "r" is not lost for very many speakers. Two, um, there is a strong tendency, perhaps part of the same process, whereby "r" is bigger than "r". Three, uh, where orthographic "r" occurs before the vowel's fricatives. Older speakers sometimes pronounce the vowels as "r". 4. Conservative RP has a back vowel "u" in word, but for younger speakers, the vowel are increasingly differentiated in the direction of "u". 5. The diphthong "o" varies considerably, ranging from "o" among conservative speakers to "o" among some advanced speakers. 6. The diphthong "er" is very often monophthongized to "er". 7. Words like suit may be pronounced either suit or suit. The tendency is for middle-aged and younger speakers to omit "g" after "s" before "u". 8. there is an increasing tendency for "u" as in "put" to be pronounced as with an unrounded vowels. Let's go to the next part. Vowels in near RP accents. So these are the differences between RP vowel systems and near RP south of England. Firstly, E occurring the final syllable uh, in the near RP accent. Um, Secondly, the fronting of U is more widespread, and E often corresponds to in near RP accent. Speakers with northern near RP accents have contrast between and R. And finally, speakers from Midlands or north of England may lack the vowel R and have U instead.
The first, the consonant is in RP action. There are two varieties of pronouncing the consonant L. The first is syllable initial L is clear. In this situation, the consonant L is pronounced with the party of the tongue raised toward the hard pollen. For example, lot, learn. The second is syllable final L and syllable L are thus. In this situation, the consonant L are pronounced with the back of the tongue raised to the velum. For example, hero, porter, bottle. 3. The glottal stop. In RP action, the glottal stop can appear as a realization of syllable final t before the following consonant. For example, Padman, 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 that car, and is the glottal stop can ocean before t and in certain consonant cluster. For example, church, church. 4. Consonant r. A. As is well known, some English accents are rhotic and others are non-rhotic. RP is a non-rhotic accent. For example, it means the consonant r is not pronounced. For example, far, fam, far, fam. B. Speakers of many non-rhotic accents not pronouncing the word finally before a pause or before a consonant. However, RP accents have a linking r between a word finally and a pause or a consonant. For example, far away, forest, forest. C. RP accent had intrusive for example, rosa, sharp, un, unintrusive is inserted before a following vowel, even though there is no r in the spelling.
Okay, so we move to the next part. Here's British English and American English pronunciation. My name is Hazyun and I'm going to present it. Well, there's so many variations of English, but the two most commonly taught are American English and British English. And there are three main distinctions. They are pronunciation, vocab, and spelling. But in this section, we just considered two modes, their consonant and vowel. Okay, so the first distinction is the silent R. In British English, they only pronounce R if the R follows a vowel sound. For example, like car. And in American English, a printed R is pronounced. For example, car. And the second distinction is the in American English. The tongue is curled further back, like read. But in British English, the tongue is flatter and more forward, like read. Okay, so the next distinction is that in American English is mixed with a voiced flap, like very fast, and in British English is pronounced at a note. For example, like water in British English and water in American English. And the last consonant sounds distinction is a z dropping, when the z come after the t, d, n, l, s, z. In British English is omitted. In American English, like for example, is duty, is duty in British English, and is duty in American English. Okay, so the next distinction is about the vowel sounds. Like many of the 20 vowel sounds in British English and American English are similar. However, there are 8 sounds with distinct differences. Okay, so the first one, for example, like hot in British English and hard in American English, or sharp in British English and sharp in American English. And the second one is like, for example, in British English they say Harry, but in American English they say Harry. And Mary in British English and Mary in American English. And the third one, for example, like worst in British English and worst in American English. And the fourth one, like lore in British English and lore in American English. And the next one, like for example, start in British English and start in American English. And like hair in British English and hair in American English. And number 7 distinction, like for example, clear in British English and clear in American English. And the last distinction, like girl in British English and girl in American English.
There is a greater difference in BE between the lengths of vowel sounds, with some being pronounced significantly longer than their American counterparts. Some of this is because the R sound is added to many American vowel sounds, as seen above. Most phonemic charts reflect this by showing 5 or 6 English vowel sounds with 2 triangular dots, whereas most charts do not offer this for AE. Some words, particularly those of French origin, are emphasized differently in American English, with the last syllable straight in American English and the first syllable straight in British English. A dove, ballet, brochure, garage are examples of terms straightened differently in American English, and particularly those of French origin, where American English preserves the final syllable straight while British English keeps the first syllable straight, but this is inverted in the phrase address and mistake. Intonation, though the structure of speech in BE and AE is relatively similar, the melodies are considerably different. The most noticeable distinction is the British tendency to use high-falling intonation, emphasizing the primary state and then lowering it, whereas rising tones are more common in AE. Thus, you go up from the major state. Upspeak is the term used to describe the use of increasing intonation in remarks. Another noticeable difference in intonation between BE and AE is that American speakers speak more slowly and monotonously than British speakers, and the British are much more expressive and they often lengthen the vowels. Okay, that's our presentation. Thank you for your listening and watching.